is here with us now. Suggs, welcome to the show.
Hello there.
Now, I don't know if you know about this, but a couple of weeks ago, maybe even 3 weeks ago or something like that, we do this thing on the show on Wednesdays called Notes and Queries, you know, where people ring up with questions about London and stuff, and we try and answer them. And one of my listeners rang up, and his question was, did Suggs' mum ever ride the Wall of Death with Tornado Smith?
Well, indeed. Now, Robert, I said to you just before we came on air, I don't think since we played on Buckingham Palace I've had more interest in anything that my family have ever done. People are shouting at me in the street. And I know when you asked that question, I happened to be in Bellevue prison at the time, which is another story. I've been doing
you're out, I'm glad to say.
I'm out, I'm pleased. I don't know the rest of my family. I've just been doing a musical for a project called the Pimlico Opera in Belmarsh Prison, but that's another story. And Lee Thompson, I know, who's your celebrity stalker, the saxophone player in Madness. I know you won't allow him on the air anymore because he rings up on a pretty daily basis. Yeah. You've encouraged him far too much. I got a message and your show had just ended because I wasn't allowed to take my phone in the prison to ring you. But I phoned my mum just to double check before we came on. And yes.
Yes.
So
yes. It's all true.
It's true. When she was 16 years old, she was in with a fellow at the Bellevue Fairground in Manchester, who also happened to be the lead rider at the Wall of Death. And she sat on the handlebars of his motorbike for a few weeks one summer.
So this was the great Tornado Smith, we believe.
Tornado Smith.
Which is a good name.
It's a fantastic. I mean, who wouldn't want to go out with Tornado Smith? The Wall of Death rider. Even I can't argue with that.
So your mother...
It didn't last. I mean, I could have been I could have been Tornado Junior. If she'd stuck at that.
Suggs Smith, Tornado Junior. The thing is, there is a possibility, of course, that, you know, she could have fallen off and we'd have never have had the Suggs at all.
Exactly. Yes,
so it is all true.
It is true, so it is.
But I tell you what's weird about that is, I mean, this is really not much of a link, but my wife's mother now lives in a house on the site of the old Bellevue grounds, literally. Because when they knocked it down, they built some houses in the 1980s and she lives in one of them. Well, so my mum lives where your mother... No, my mother-in-law lives where your mother did the Wall of Death.
They say it's a small world, and so it is. No, because it made me laugh, because I wanted to make sure I got the geography right. And when my mum said Bellevue, I thought, well, that's the right name for going round and round on a motorbike in a cylinder, isn't it? The Bellevue. Experience.
So there you go. So it's all true. Your mother rode the Wall of Death.
Indeed.
Now, we didn't get you in just for that. No. It would have been slightly extravagant to get you in for just that question. You're here because you're playing at the Emirates tomorrow night.
Indeed, I am.
Is that in the European Cup, or have you switched allegiances? Your team's playing tonight.
Do you know what? For all that I have done in my life, I went to Highbury on a number of occasions, mostly when they used to open the North Bank at half time to let people out. Remember that? You used to be able to walk in.
And do you remember they used to have the police band beforehand?
That's
playing?
right.
I don't know if you ever got in there for the start of the game, but then a copper would stand up and sing.
We made our own amusement. Xbox, I'll give you a flip with Xbox. Who do you support then, son? Barnsley. Yeah. Who's the reserve goalkeeper? What's his name? You know, the one with the big head, the gloves and that. But no, I've never been to the Emirates, and no, I'm there because my daughter, my poor old sister-in-law, died of pancreatic cancer 2.5 years ago now. And on the day of her funeral, we all made all sorts of ridiculous suggestions that we might run the marathon and all that. I got as far as Tufnell Park Tube, and I knew that wasn't going to work. And I suggested we might do a little gig in a local pub. And then my daughter Viva, who runs an events company called the Gig Company, who do a lot for charitable causes, said we've got to do something a bit better than that. And we did a thing at the Portchester Bards. And very kindly this year, unfortunately, there was a guy who runs the hospitality at Arsenal, at the Emirates, called Jim Harding, and he actually had pancreatic cancer and unfortunately died last week. But very sad consequence of why I'm doing this for pancreatic cancer, because it's such a pernicious disease and contracted, it very rapidly goes downhill. Gave Viva and us the big function room at the Emirates, which is very kind of Arsenal, and that's the nicest thing I'm going to say about Arsenal for the rest of my life. But as I say, unfortunately, he died last week, so it's a real tragedy. But the point being that huge headway has been made, certainly in breast cancer, which my wife very fortunately survived, and even prostate cancer. Now, we all know, that it's all about diagnosing these things early. The unfortunate thing about pancreatic cancer, it's very hard to diagnose. So
you can't squeeze it or feel it or do anything. It's not like breast cancer or, as you say...
It doesn't emanate in that way, and it comes out... The symptoms can be like diabetes, for instance, or other kinds of things that a GP wouldn't recognise. So a lot of what we're trying to do is raise money to be able to diagnose it earlier. And we've been making huge headway. I mean, I went to St George's Hospital to see some of the research. I mean, I'm no scientist and I don't want to bore your listeners to death, but...
I thought you were a scientist. You once said, trust me, I'm a scientist.
Tornado Junior. Who would have thought he became a nuclear scientist? But what they've been making huge headway with is, because at the moment, curing cancer is all about pouring you full of poison, basically, which is chemotherapy, and then irradiating your body. And what they've been working on is we have T cells in our body that are fighting all the time. The common cold would kill us if we didn't have our own cells fighting. And they're teaching the T cells to recognise cancer cells, and this has been a really big leap forward. And in my lifetime, we may see the end of cancer as we know it. So,
yes, you're doing this event tomorrow night. What is it? Is it a gig? Is it a...
Yeah, it's a gig. So we've got the big function room there.
How many is that hold? Any idea?
It holds 400.
Right.
And there are a few tables left, I think. And basically, Madness are playing. I've got my old mates down. I thought
really?
That might be nice. Yeah, there's old buggers out of bed. And Rudimental have very kindly turned up. So
that's good.
It's a very nice combination of stuff. And we've got a great band. It's Paul McCartney's house band. And so it's a great night. Funny enough, the first time we did it, we had Wilco, the great Wilco Johnson, of course, who in fact, he'd turned up at a Madness concert at the O2 a few years ago now. He was going to come on and play with us. And he came in the dressing room and I said, what do you want to drink, Wilco? And he said, any effing thing. I said, what's that? He said, well, I've just found out I've got pancreatic cancer.
Oh.
But Wilco has actually been letting me down because he's now survived this disease I've been telling everyone is incurable. He's now in his third year of remission.
Well, they found it was a different variation, didn't they?
They did find a different variation.
And they've operated.
Given that Wilco survived anyway, through choices of his own, if anyone was going to survive, it was going to be him.
He's faced worse things than that.
Exactly. So the details being, yes.
Tomorrow night.
Thank you.
It's... Madness are playing?
Madness playing, Rudimental are playing.
That's a pretty good lineup.
It's not bad, is it? Something for the old, something for the young, and the borrowed and the blue.
For a place that only holds a couple of hundred people or 400 people or whatever it is. So it's going to be
at the Emirates Stadium.
An intimate evening.
If you'd like to get tickets, it's thegigcompany.com, www.gigcompany.com.
And you do it, you've raised quite a lot of money already for this, haven't you?
We're getting towards £200,000. And
wow.
Yeah, it has been amazing. Yeah, and I'm not ever in a situation where I want to take money away from anything else that's equally important, where illness is concerned. It's been our own little, obsession, obviously, because my sister-in-law was a very close member of my family. And like anything else, when you get involved in something, you realise how many other lives have been affected by it. But already, I've been in the Houses of Parliament talking to people about it, and we've already raised the awareness of it enormously. And the money I've seen with my own eyes, the research that they're doing is really getting somewhere. Because often you do charity, throw all the money in the air, you're not really sure where it lands. But it's all landing in the right place for pancreatic cancer, yeah.
What's the situation with you and the band at the moment? Obviously, you're doing this gig tomorrow night. Are you available for bar mitzvahs, or what's the...
that, Robert.
What's the current situation?
You know that. Yeah, there's a few corporate things. They're popping their heads above the parapets again now, the old corporate pods. We're doing a huge tour in the summer. We're doing the biggest ever outdoor rock and roll tour, if you could ever call Madness rock and roll in the true sense of the word. I know that's possible, but not in the leather trousers sort of variety. We started doing a few racetracks a couple of years ago, and we've organised our own tour of racetracks, cricket grounds, and football pitches.
It's all a bit Ronnie Lane, isn't it? Do you remember he did that one with the tent and all of that?
Exactly that. We've cut out the middleman. We're doing it ourselves, and we're going to all sorts of beautiful places like Rill and Barnsley.
Barnsley. Did you just say, beautiful places?
Exactly. Come on. I'm not expecting the sun to shine every day, but yeah, all through the summer we're doing. It's called Grand Slam. Yeah, look that up. Yeah, we're doing a great
Are you lot
song.
all getting on and
Yeah, we're all
in
good,
the same
man.
room and all
Well,
that?
you know what it's like with Madness. Some of them, I'm not sure. There's a load of bald blokes. Some of them are in the room. Some of them aren't. I mean,
They can't all fit in one room. Not anymore.
Beddoes was gone for 2 years before I realised he'd gone. You know, there's another bald bloke over there somewhere. No, with Seven, it's a great joy that people can have sabbaticals and you don't realise for months on end.
What about the sort of evening with Suggs things that you did for a while? Would you do any more of them? Did you enjoy doing that?
Yeah. I mean, I did the one-man show thing, which was very liberating. Yeah, certainly from the rest of that shower. It was something I've been thinking about doing for a long time. I met a fellow outside who came to see it. I started off in the King's Head, you know, the pub in Islington, which is a beautiful place, only holds 100 people. And I just kind of told anecdotes about my life and played a few songs on the piano. And I'm thinking about doing another version of that next year. Yeah, I mean, I've sort of done my life. I'm really bored of talking about myself. But I'm thinking about sort of taking a gentle jaunt through the history of British pop music, you know, going right back to kind of music hall and all that, and music of the street. And I've always felt like, I'm sure you have, you know, I mean, you know, opera and all that, it's such a well kind of funded, you know, art form that a lot of the music that informed me as a pop musician kind of got lost along the way. And I think there might be
the sort of musical stuff,
and even, you know, folk stuff. Not that I've any, you know, but I mean, you think of Dirty Old Town by you.
Yeah.
It was some of that kind of, yeah, music of the folk. You know, I mean, who was it? Louis Armstrong said once, you know, and they asked him, you know, about folk music, and he said, "Well, if it ain't folk music, who is it about?" You know what I mean? And I've always felt, you know, that the narrative of a lot of Madness songs have been about ordinary life for sure. So that might be an idea. I might do a show sort of based on that next year.
What about telly? Have you still got a good face for telly?
I don't know, Robert. You know what it's like. I mean, it's a bit load of old nonsense out there. I mean,
well, you can drive a car. You can do Clarkson.
I've been known to throw the odd punch. I've missed most of it, has to be said. Hey, what a carry on. Yeah, that is. Yeah. I'm not really mad on cars. You know, I mean, I'm not. They've asked me to go on that. I don't know if I've physically ever driven above 30 miles an hour in any form of vehicle, really. No, I wouldn't know a Maserati from a whatever.
No, I'm exactly with you on that one. I crashed a milk float. My brother was a milkman, and when I was 15, I helped him out on his round and drove his milk float straight into a lamppost, knocked the lamppost out of the ground. He had to say he did it, of course.
They didn't go very fast, but they're very hard to stop. There's a lot of weight in
There's only one button, but I kept hitting it.
They are like dodging. But you know what? I was walking up my road the other day. I've had to commute to Woolwich to do this prison thing, which is another whole new experience for me, and one I do not wish to do again. To get to Tufnell Park, it's a 20-minute walk, and I saw a milkman. There was a milkman. I'm sure it was like Doctor Who. He was a leftover. He'd been transported from another time, and I had to stop and have a chat. He must be the last milkman. But I used to, as most kids of our age did at some point, help out on a milk round. Yeah, that was a rite of passage, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
In the snow and rain and sleet and all that.
So you're not going to be a milkman. You're not going to be Jeremy Clarkson.
I'm not going to be Jeremy Clarkson.
But you are definitely playing at Arsenal tomorrow night.
Playing at Arsenal tomorrow.
Have you got your shin pads?
Well, funny enough, of all the ironies, Tim Lovejoy's coming down, who's an old friend of mine, a Chelsea fan, of course. So we've given him the indignity of he's having to do a tour of the Emirates with a lot of people who paid a lot of money, knowing absolutely naff all about the stadium. I've asked him to give me the history of Arsenal from beginning to end. But funny enough, I was in Woolwich the other week, and that's of course where it all started. That's what they don't like to talk about, isn't it? Eh? There's the sign's still there, the Gunners. The band are doing some recording. We're hopefully going to make a new recording before this tour starts, and everyone's in very rude health on that score. Yeah.
So where can people find out about the tickets and that if there are any left for tomorrow night?
I think it's www.grand. Oh, tomorrow night. It's the gig company. Yeah. All one word. www gig company. If you'd like to come.
It's gigcompany.org, apparently.
Thank you very much,
says
Robert.
Darren. Darren's just sent us that.
Thank you. Thank God between us.
Someone tell Suggs it's gigcompany.org, not .com.
Thank you very much. But Paul McCartney's given the most amazing gift, which is a night of a very secret concert with him and to meet him, which he doesn't do. So I'm very grateful to him. And there's a lot of other fabulous prizes in a silent auction, which you can check out at the very same website.
Right then.
So, Robert, last time I saw you, we were having a dalliance in the old... you were pretending to go and read a book in
that
Japanese.
Was funny. Yeah. My wife was away, right? So it was.
I used to do that, wander up and down Parkway with a book under my arm, pretending I had no mates.
It was Saturday afternoon. I went out to go and get lunch. I was on my own. I thought, I know, I'll go and... There's a little Japanese up there on Parkway. I'll go and sit in there and have a glass of sake and a bit of lunch. And I took a book with me. I got as far as the pub and I heard someone shout, "Elms!" I looked round, it was him. And
Well, I was with a mate who said, I'm a big fan of Roberts, and I've never spoken to him before, as people often do. And there you are. Yeah, my cousin actually was in a band called the Skivskats, who happened to be playing on a Sunday afternoon in the Dublin Castle.
And then Boz Borer was in there as well, wasn't he? Who I went to school with.
Did you go to school with Boz?
I was a year above him, of course.
Well, it was us who introduced him to Morrissey,
Was
for
it?
better or for worse, yeah.
Right.
Because Morrissey wanted to go to a rockabilly thing, and there was something at the Forum, when they used to have these sort of rockabilly nights or afternoons, and Boz was there. And the rest, as they say, is...
And it was definitely a fun day.
We had a few beers, didn't
We
we?
did have a few beers.
Lovely,
I
yes.
never got my Japanese lunch. I don't know what happened to the book.
What was the book, out of interest? Come on.
It was 20,000 Leagues Beneath the Sea by Jules Verne.
I
There
say.
you go.
I think that's all for the best if that went down the plug hole, mate.
But I'll never find out now if they capture the beast. So that's no. It was a really funny afternoon. Actually, they were great fun. The Skivskats.
They were good. Yeah,
Yeah.
proper old bluegrass music. Yeah.
And we can absolutely, definitely ascertain that your mum did ride the wall of death with one Tornado Smith and lived to tell the tale.
Now, somebody tell me what happened to Tornado Smith, eh? What did he go on to do?
Suggs, have a great night tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Robert.
And it's all for a fantastic cause. It's
Thank
all
you
to
very
raise
much
money
indeed.
for Pancreatic Cancer UK. And
That's
it's
it.
.org, by the way.
Thank you.